Hi, this is Yvette Stanton. Today I am going to show you how to make the Mountmellick knitted fringe. The method that we are going to use is method number 2, which is shown in the book Mountmellick Embroidery Inspired by Nature by me, Yvette Stanton, and Prue Scott. To make our knitted fringe, we need 4 strands of knitting cotton. You can see that I have 4 there. 4 gives a nice full fringe. To start off with, we need to create a slip knot. So I make a loop like that, turn the loop over and pull those threads through the loop. Today I will be using 2 double-ended needles. The only reason why I'm using double-ended needles is because they are short. I put the slip knot onto the left needle and tighten it a little. Then I insert the right needle into the front of that knot. I take the yarn around the back of the right needle, pull it through and place the new stitch on the left needle like that. Again, I take the yarn around the back of the right needle, pull it through and place the stitch on the left needle. We're going to need a total of 9 stitches, so I'll just keep doing the same thing until we have 9. I'm using metal needles because metal needles won't break. When you're using 4 strands of knitting cotton, as we are here, there is no give, and so it means that if you used plastic or bamboo, they'd break. We don't want that to happen, so that's why we're using metal. So I'm just keeping on adding stitches till I get 9. Now I have 8, so we just need 1 more. Okay, there's our 9. You can see them there. Now, we insert our needle into the first 2 stitches. What we're going to do is we're going to knit them together. But before we even do that, we also need to bring our thread around the front end of the right needle. And what that's going to do is that's going to increase 1 before we then decrease. So we take the thread around that needle there, knit through both of those stitches, and you can see we've increased and then we've decreased, so we end up with the same number of stitches. Now we're going to knit 1. Once again, we bring the yarn forward, that will be our increase. We insert the needle into the next 2 stitches, knit them together, and then knit 1. Again, yarn forward to increase, knit 2 together and knit 1. That's the method that we use for the first row, and then we also use it for all the other rows. So I've turned the needle around. Once again, I insert the needle into the first 2 stitches, bring the thread around the front of the right needle and then around the back to knit those 2 together. Now I knit 1. Bring the yarn forward to increase, knit 2 together. Make sure you bring all of the threads through. If you don't, you need to pick up the extra one that you didn't bring through, as I just did. Knit 1, yarn forward to increase, knit 2 together and knit 1. So that's the method we use for all of the rows. You can see that there's a pattern starting to form here. At the edge we have a little bit of open work, then we have a ridge, some more open work, ridge, open work and ridge. The ridges are from the knitting together in the knit 1, the open work is from the increase. Now what I'm going to do is continue knitting in the same way, the same pattern for every row until I have a very, very long piece of knitting, enough to go around the whole thing. So I'll knit some more rows and then I'll come back and I'll show you some more. Okay, you can see how I've knitted a reasonable length of the knitted lace. We can imagine that there's enough to go all the way around the whole of our Mountmellick piece. If you have curves or points around your edge, such as with scallops, you'll need extra to ease into those curves. We can see quite clearly that there's the open work at the edge, the ridges, more open work, and then another ridge. The last step that we need to do is to cast off. To do this, we'll do it quite loosely so that it doesn't end up being a real tight cast off. Knit the first stitch, then knit the second stitch as well. Then take that first stitch and slide it off over the last one you just did. Insert the needle in the next stitch and knit it. Take that previous stitch and take it over the end of the one you just did. Knit the next one, take that and stitch off over that one, knit the next stitch, take the previous stitch off over the one you just did. Now we're going to knit until we've only got 3 stitches left on the right needle. The left needle, that is. So we now have only 3. So we need to cut our thread. I'll just grab my scissors. As you can see, I'm left-handed. And cut through those threads so that they're no longer there. Pull the thread through those last stitches there, and we've got our 3 on the left here. Now we can get rid of the needles now. Now imagine that you are wearing some pantyhose and you get a ladder in your pantyhose, and that's what we're going to do here. With these stitches here, we are going to make the stitches run, and in doing so, that's how we form our fringe. So we're just undoing them and undoing and undoing and undoing, right down to the end, and there we have our knitted fringe. Now when we sew it on, they're not going to look quite as wiggly as that. You can actually steam iron them flat again and they'll look a lot more normal. So there you have it. That's how you do it. You can learn more about Mountmellick embroidery from the book Mountmellick Embroidery Inspired by Nature by Yvette Stanton and Prue Scott. The book shows step by step how to do Mountmellick embroidery stitches and the methods of 3 Mountmellick fringes, including the one I have shown you today. There are 17 Mountmellick embroidery projects ranging from beginner skill level through to advanced. You can pick up your copy of Mountmellick Embroidery Inspired by Nature from your favourite needlework store today, or direct from Yvette Creations. Yvette Creations also has a full range of Mountmellick embroidery supplies.